Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bible class. We're studying the Sermon on the Mount, and we have Matthew chapter 6, verses 28 through 30. So let's look at that. And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Wherefore, if God so clothe the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe ye, or clothe you, O ye of little faith? Therefore, take no thought. We'll get that next time. I, I just want to go through these verses for now. All right, so why are you worrying is the section. Why are you worrying about what you're going to wear, your clothes? And this example that he uses, this is perfect for gardeners. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin, and yet I say unto you, Solomon in all his glory wasn't arrayed like one of these. All the gardeners are like, yep, that's right. The beautiful flowers. Why are you worrying about your clothes? And I wonder, the way that Jesus is talking, he's not, I don't think he's saying, I don't think he's saying necessarily why are you worrying about um what am I trying to say? Sorry, I gotta collect my thoughts. Uh I'll get back to that. Anyway, why are you worrying about your clothes? Now, how would we worry about our clothes? That's the question I wanted to ask. How would we worry about our clothes? Well, he says down here, wherewithal shall we be clothed? So, what are we going to wear? Nowadays, that's not as big of an issue, finding something to wear. There are people who still have trouble, have difficulty with things to wear, but there are, well, like for example, at Somerville, we have a clothes closet here, and there are people who make it their mission to try to give clothes to people who don't have any. And that's a great thing. There are a lot more clothes now than there were back in Jesus' time. And clothes are difficult to come by in Jesus' time because somebody has to weave them. And making fabric is not so easy a thing. Look at sorry. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. So they're not working. Now, what's spinning have to do with anything? Well, that's the spinning wheel, right? You take wool and you put it on the spinning wheel and you spin the wool into yarn or thread, and then you use that thread to weave your clothes. So flowers don't do that, of course. They don't work to make clothes. They toil not, neither do they spin. We could just as easily say they don't make their own clothes, right? Jesus is, of course, using picture language. He's using words as pictures. He wants us to imagine somebody working really hard making these garments. What do you have to do? You have to shear the sheep. You have to put that on the spinning wheel, make it into yarn. You have to then weave the yarn into clothes. You have before you weave, you have to dye the yarn to where it is the right color. And flowers don't do anything about this. Now, how might we worry about our clothes these days? We might not worry about, well, how am I going to find something to wear? But we think about, we spend our we spend time worrying about keeping up with the latest fashion, worrying about having the right clothes for the right occasion, because the way you dress really does make a difference. And there are certain things to wear for certain situations. Like, for example, when I teach, I wear at least on Sundays, I wear a suit and tie because, well, this is right after, I think it's not even noon yet, so it's right after worship. I just come in here and record this class, and as a preacher, it's just having a suit and a tie and a nice white shirt. It's kind of expected. So we consider the things that we wear, and, well, could it get to the point where we are considering it too much and growing anxious about the things that we wear, worrying about where we're going to get the next thing? And I don't know about that. But look at the lilies. The lilies of the field don't do anything. And look at this. Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Well, if you're going to find somebody who's wealthy, it's going to be Solomon, right? What kind of clothes would a wealthy king wear? Well, he's going to wear the best. He's going to wear beautiful colors, blues and purples and golds and reds, and, well, there's just going to be, he's going to find the rarest dyes. He's going to find the best artisans, and they're going to make the best robes that they could make, the best clothes that they can make for Solomon. And you get good clothes, you're going to look good. Yet Jesus says Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. So as much money as he's going to spend on what he wears, it's not going to be like a flower. And this is, I think this is important, because, well, this would include not just am I going to be able to wear something, right? Wherewithal shall we be clothed? Is that just talking about, am I going to be able to wear something? Well, I don't know, because what Jesus says is Solomon is wearing something beautiful. And the lilies of the field are more beautiful than Solomon. As well as you dress, you're not going to be more beautiful than a flower garden. Clothes are nice. And this is why I said, yeah, the gardeners are going to be agreeing, because you're not going to be more beautiful than a flower garden. What God has created is, well, it's just gorgeous. God had a sense of aesthetic, and he made flowers, so many of them. It says the lilies of the field, but there's so many different flowers, and they're all beautiful. So how much are we going to be anxious about how well we look, when, first of all, you could be as rich as Solomon and still not look as good as a flower garden. And second of all, he makes this statement here: if God clothes the grass of the field, which is today is and tomorrow's cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O ye of little faith? It's one of these arguments, again, least to the greatest. So he's going to say, look at what God does. Look at how beautiful the flowers are. If God takes care of the flowers and they're ephemeral, they're here today, gone tomorrow, cast into the fire and burned up, their beauty is gone. Aren't you better than flowers? Shall he not much more clothe you, O ye of little faith? There's another thing I want to mention here, and that is when we allow worry to dominate our thinking, what does Jesus say that is? It's little faith. Trusting in God requires us to have some confidence. Instead of worrying about what we're going to wear in the future, or being dissatisfied with the things that I have to wear. This is another thing. Because it says, after all these things do the Gentiles seek. Well, what do the Gentiles seek? Certainly not clothes, right? Because everybody seeks clothes. It's not just the Gentiles that seek clothes. But maybe there's an emphasis on the expensive clothes, the clothes that make you look good in front of other people, your image. So if you're worrying about what you're going to look like, first of all, the flowers look better than you do. And they're going to be cast, they're picked and then cast into the fire the next day. So they're beautiful one day, gone the next. But the flowers are better than you. Second of all, if I see what I have and I'm dissatisfied about it, and I worry because I don't feel like I have the best or something that's adequate, then that would equate to having little faith. Because ultimately, God has taken care of us, hasn't he? We have clothes. And if we're never going to be as good as a lily anyway, why should we worry about the clothes? We shouldn't. Therefore, I said I wasn't going to get into 31, but oh well. Therefore, take no thought, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or wherewithal shall we be clothed? Don't take thought for these things. And we'll pick up with this thought next week. Take no thought for these things, for your heavenly Father knows that you have need of all of these things. So we'll finish that thought. But I wanted to just think about the flowers today, how beautiful they are, and how if God takes care of the flowers, if he makes the grass of the field beautiful, then we don't need to worry about what we wear. Maybe there's a lesson there about outward beauty versus inward beauty anyway. But anyway, thanks for paying attention and studying with me. We'll finish up Matthew chapter 6 next time, Lord willing. And I hope you have a blessed day.